Have you heard of this AVT or audio visual translation? And what happens in AVT is two things. The title itself says, what is that? One is audio and the other is visual. What if the visual is not there? What if the audio is not there? So both are very, very important. Yeah. And these examples, films, TV shows, video games and all these things, and spoken and visual, both are important. What is important is, why do we need AVT or why do we need? Because somewhere we are all connected to these movies or web series, etc., etc. So when there is a lot of audience, definitely there is a need, right? So you may be somewhere in Kolkata or Delhi somewhere, but you want to enjoy Bahubali, right? So if it is in Telugu, a person who is not who doesn't know Telugu or not aware of Telugu language, even if he or she wants to watch it, you need somewhere some intervention, right? So that is done by AVT. So that's why we have diverse audience, then global distribution, cultural adaptation, because no one knows about, including myself, about Panjurli, the concept of Panjurli. So till the movie Kantara, right? After that everyone knows about it, but that is somewhere in south part of Dakshin Karnataka, southern South Canara they say, or southern part of Karnataka. It's mostly Tulu Nadu or Tulu region, right? But now it's not confined to Tulu Nadu or Karnataka today, right? So its presence is there, just because you have its presence in at least some 4-5 languages, if not all the languages. So somewhere now, can we talk about the Indian cinema in this context? You call it as pan-Indian cinema, but it can be part of Indian cinema, because we don't agree, because we have our own egos actually, right? So again, among these woods also there is a lot of competition. So previously the domination of Bollywood, I think yesterday itself sir was telling that now sir Tollywood dominance is more. So it's not about dominance, because the creativity and use of technology and all. I think for that Bahubali is, I think, very high budget movie, right? And KGF also. KGF is also from Sandalwood, one more thing. Yeah, so we have the present. There are other movies also. I am taking these examples because I am little aware of these things. Maybe other woods also or other film industries may also have such classic movies. Now if we say what is a classic movie, again don't go back to Satyajit Ray or kind of thing, right? So now, because if you look at the award winning movies, they are different, and the commercially successful movies, they are different. So you have two different types. So which one to go for is left to the audience, right? So but for of course money purpose, it is always the commercial thing, and you need, of course, these days no one wants the messages or some kind of preaching, right? So we all mostly want the entertainment part. So you don't have, because we already have all these feelings like sadness, this and that. Again, why do you want to get that sadness through the movies? That too by paying money, right? So we won't be ready. So we should be careful about these things. So now that we understand the need for AVT, so even for educational purposes, many universities these days have these platforms like EMRCCs are there, right? EMRCC is also there. So there are universities, IGNO is also offering. So likewise, so there is a need and there are audience also. And basically if you look at AVT, since you all told, so there are basically audio visual translation, part of it is subtitling, you have dubbing, and you also have voiceover, right? And these days the dominance is of what? Dubbing or subtitling? Both are equally important, because when you say pan-Indian movie, Telugu movie with English subtitles, that is there, right? And dubbing is also happening, right? Because the same Kantara is dubbed into Telugu also, Hindi also, right? So other languages also it's happening. So again, part of subtitling you have intralingual and interlingual. And yesterday we talked about the concept of, so here don't say subtitle translation, we call it as subtitling. So yesterday you were artists, right? You were translators. Today you all will be subtitlers and dubbing artists. Okay, so let's see. So let's practice that also. Yeah, so if you look at the concepts in dubbing and voiceover, what is happening? The source is voice, output is also voice. But in between there is happening something that is text. So what are you doing there? So the voice, so you will have the transcript of it, right? Because you want to translate. So the text, again, that is, what is that done? So that is again, so the voiceover or dubbing, it is dubbed by the voice artist. So but in case of subtitling, what is happening? It is directly intersemiotic. There also intersemiotic is happening, but audio to text, again text to audio. But in this case, directly from audio to the text. So that's the basic difference. Now subtitling, we all know about it. So just for the sake of information, when we share the slides, you can take the points. But otherwise, right? Before subtitles, we used to have these silent movies. Have you observed? So, but there also they used to give some kind of titles, right? So to understand maybe Charlie Chaplin's thing and all that, because you should understand the context, right? Intertitles. Okay, so the predecessor of subtitle is intertitle, but we'll talk about that little later. But mainly it is known as the timed text, right? When I'm speaking or when the dialogue is there, right? Subtitle should also sync with it, right? So the synchronization part is very, very, very important, and that too, when you subtitle, you should not contradict. So there may be a very sad scene that is happening, but when you subtitle, if you put it as a very joyous moment, or someone died here, but you are celebrating it. Okay, so that contradiction should never happen. When you subtitle the things. So these are the basic things that we should. And synchrony part is very important. So I will show you some examples whether that synchrony is followed or not. We will check. Okay. So now again, major types. We know that intralingual subtitles, then of course interlingual. So what happens in intralingual? It is same language. So in that case, you may ask, sir, should we need intralingual subtitles? Because when we watch some Hollywood movie, so we also watch with some subtitles, right? That is intralingual. Why do you watch? Maybe accent. So, right, so we have the problem of accent. So for the sake of again business, that is also yes. So now interlingual translation, especially we are using it in India mostly, and then this SDH, subtitles for deaf and hard of hearing. So maybe while watching some movies, you can find these non-dialogue information, some sound of the leaves, some rustling of leaves, or some music playing. So in between they give within brackets sighing, something like that, right? So these are the indications, because they don't be able to hear. So that's why through reading that. So this is to help. So we have this SDH concept. Next, multilingual. Now we are not confined to one or two languages, right? So I think even in YouTube that option is available, right? You can choose maybe in OTT platforms also. So you have 5-6 languages. So that can be changed. You can from Hindi, one movie you can watch in some 10 languages, right? First half in Hindi, second half maybe in Telugu, or then Urdu or some other languages like that, right? Okay. So then you also have open subtitles. They are also known as hard subtitles. Maybe I think you might have observed at some places we can turn off, but in other places we cannot. So these two deal with that. So the first one is you cannot turn off because they are already embedded there. But in the case of the second one, so if you want you can, because the problem, though it is an advantage, sometimes subtitles can disturb you also, right? Because your focus is on reading, not on what is happening on the visual, right? So ultimately, why do you watch? Again, not for reading, right? Just to avoid reading in the books and libraries itself we are watching. So again, why do you read there? So that's illogical. So that's one thing. So that's why you have the option here. Now, when you are subtitling certain things, right? Now you think like, yesterday you thought like poets, right? When you are translating the poem, right? Now you are doing subtitling, you think like subtitlers. Now you are not the trainees, not the participants, not the faculty, not the research scholars. We are all subtitlers today. Okay, so now when you look or when you hear a dialogue, right? When you are subtitling it, what is very important there? Brevity is important, right? So it should be concise, right? To the point. Don't write essays on that, because you have only one screen. The visual comes for how much time? 1 minute? Not minute, it's in seconds, right? Maybe 1-2 seconds also sometimes, right? So that's why your speedness and the short, brevity should also, that before the scene changes, not the drama scene, because you have some scenes and acts there. So this scene is very short. So that's why we should be very brief in that. So concise, then synchronization, because what is there in audio, the same thing should be there. Same in the sense, not the same dialogue. It should match with the speed, the length of that dialogue. Then you will match the time. So yeah. So then reading speed. What if your subtitle just comes and goes away just like that? Then what is the point? Why are you doing subtitling? For the sake of your audience, right? So see the length of the dialogue, and it should also remain on the screen for the same time. So now is it possible? Yes or no? It is possible, of course, right? But if it goes very fast, then there is no point in subtitling. Then of course translation accuracy. Again, wherever you go, again this translation part is important, right? So now if there is Panjurli, if you are watching or subtitling Kantara, so how do you translate Panjurli? Should you? Not required, because again foreignization technique, yesterday we were talking about, right? So these are the some considerations. You can also think of space limitations, because where do you write the subtitles? Generally they are placed in the bottom. Now you may ask, sir, can we write on the top or on the right side, on the left side, right? But the standard practice, intertitles used to be in the middle actually, sometimes on the top also, but now that the standard format is, you will have them in the bottom of the screen. Then of course cultural adaptation. So Panjurli, if there is no equivalent or kind of thing, but again the entire movie is rooted or located in that region, especially if your audience are Indians, right? So there is no need for domestication of that. Maybe if a foreigner wants, you can, anyhow you are having English subtitles. So that's why the screen changing will never happen. So it's all superficial. Whatever we do is only superficial, because the original audio and original video so will not be disturbed, right? So then also consistency, because sometimes, because we are translators, we have freedom, so you may use your creativity. You may at that time think like a director or a screenplay writer. So don't think like a director or a screenplay writer or a dialogue writer. So think like only a subtitler, so that will overcome the problem of consistency, because it may not be a 2-hour movie or 3-hour movie. Sometimes you may have to subtitle for web series, right? So a web series, you have some seasons, and again each season has some 5-6 episodes and etc., right? So at the end totally you will have some 80 episodes or 50 episodes like that. So everywhere starting from episode 1 to 80 you should maintain that consistency, right? So if you are supposed to subtitle it, how do you do that? So you also have interlingual subtitles there. So based on that you have to subtitle.